Okay, here's the fourth part of the picture Hunter took. It's the fifth video. The first video was the preface. This may be the final video if I can fit all of this into one 10-minute space. I may have to make one more video, but we'll see. A few days later, doubling back north from Acapulco, Hunter kept hearing "The Girl from Ipanema" in his head. The Frosts and Wemysses had stayed at a hotel which seemed neither touristy nor especially quiet. Quite modern, on a lush hillside, its restaurant and bar an angular glass enclosure, it would have been the precise place for a Pink Panther movie. Portly businessmen and their secretaries ate hors d'oeuvres, while a youngish band played something swanky. The Wemysses went to their room just after dinner, clearly tired. Hunter noticed Fred and Bob riding up and down an outdoor lift along the hill. Dan, Bill, and Julie were exhausted and stayed inside the room. At twilight, still in the restaurant, Lynn pointed at the hill. "Divers!" "Oh." "Why are they doing this in the dark?" said Lynn. "They're daring each other," Hunter said. "The hotel doesn't give them light. The hotel doesn't want a lawsuit." Diver after diver plunged into the rocky foam as darkness fell over the resort. Hunter could see Bob and Fred pointing at the hilltop. They were the only spectators. "Zihuatanejo tomorrow," said Lynn. "Sanborn's guide says it's a one-lane road on the edge of a mountain." "I read the chapter," said Hunter. "The last line is Cuidado." Cuidado was right, Hunter said to himself the next morning. Looking to his right as he drove along the precipice toward Hotel Sotavento, he noticed the tops of palm trees below. Instead of hearing the tape recording of Conquistador, which Dan had on, Hunter had in his head the snazzy Brazilian stuff last night's band had put forth. "Ba, ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba," sang Hunter. He kept the beat with an index finger. "No drumming while at the wheel, please, Hunter," Lynn said, shielding her eyes from the cliff edge. Hunter could see Joy Wemyss ahead in the passenger seat of the Volvo. "Joy's shielding her eyes, too, I see," said Hunter. "Joy never gives up the driver's seat," Lynn said. "You know it's bad." Fred said, from the back, "My mother's got her head in her hands. I bet she's putting on fake brakes. She never lets Dad drive." "The stick bridge was too much for her," Dan said. After the Frosts had crossed a wooden bridge over a deep puddle a few miles back, they pulled over and waited for the Wemysses to cross in their Volvo. Hunter was about to pull away after the Wemysses got across, but the Volvo pulled over. Joy had gotten out. "This isn't even the worst of it," she said, looking at the Frosts. Before Hunter could say anything, Joy said, "It is not the worst, and you know it. I read Sanborn's before starting today. Cuidado, it said. Cuidado. We have a one-lane road along the side of a mountain ahead of us, and Sanborn didn't bother to mention there was a wooden bridge with two boards, one board for the right side tires and one board for the left, over a giant mud pit. Courtney will drive." Courtney started getting out of the Volvo's passenger side. He had trouble getting out, knocking over a sack he'd bought in Mexico City with a picture of Quetzalcoatl on it. He was trying to fold up a month-old Sunday New York Times. "I'll fold it," Joy said. "I have it, madam," Courtney said, trying to insert the Times between yellow notepads he'd stuffed into the sack. "Don't bother with the paper," Joy said, grabbing the Times and throwing it in the back seat. Courtney got into the driver's seat, and Joy got into the passenger seat. "Never has woman surrendered in manner so commanding," Courtney said. "Drive," said Joy, "and don't drive us over the edge." Suddenly Fred got out of the back seat of the Volvo. "Can I come with you?" he said, clambering into the Skylark. "You have air conditioning." And as the Frosts, with Fred as stowaway, followed the Wemysses at a pace of 20 miles an hour, Hunter could hear Billy saying, "Good thing you got in our car, Fred." "How come?" Fred said. "Well, remember that time we drove to Mesa Verde?" "In 1967, Fred said. "Yes, so long ago," Bill said. "Even then, 4 years ago, it was the same." "The same? Do you remember what I told you?" Lynn interrupted Bill. "Dan, can you shut that tape recorder off? But it's a good song. I want it off. Bet everybody likes it. Off, please. Your father needs to concentrate." Hunter was still singing "The Girl from Ipanema," but now, with the tape recorder off, he watched the Wemysses' Volvo ahead, gripped the wheel with both hands, and tried not to be distracted by Bill's monologue. "Remember, Fred," said Bill, "I was in your car with you and Bob. Your father was driving, and we were driving toward Mesa Verde." "Oh, Mesa Verde was great," said Fred. "But remember all those cliff sides we were driving on? And I was saying, 'Wave goodbye to everybody behind us.' Well, yes, everybody else was in your car. But remember you thought your father was drunk? I didn't think he was drunk. Not at first, but I told you he was drunk. But I didn't believe you. I still don't believe you. But you believed me for part of the way. I remember because you looked like this. Hunter could see Billy in the rearview mirror, putting on a face of terror. Well, I was only 7, Fred said, but you believed me. Well, you were making it up. But now, look, said Bill. He looked straight ahead, and so did Fred. The road is scary, isn't it, said Bill. You saw your father stumbling out that passenger door today, didn't you? Well, that was just the bag he was tripping over. Mm-hmm. I thought I saw a bottle of Ballantine fall out of the car. They don't have Ballantine here. Well, you know he went to the hotel bar last night. No, he didn't. He went to bed. I came back after watching diving, and everybody was asleep. Oh, come on. All the grown-ups got up after you were asleep and went to the bar. How many miles is this road? Lynn said. They'd been on it for what seemed like 10 minutes. Courtney's going at a crawl. As well he might, said Hunter. You see, said Bill, you know what a hangover is? You hang over a cliff? No, Fred. If you drink till 3 in the morning, you're still drunk at 9 a.m. I read that in Science Journal. Dad gets Science Journal. It was on his desk, said Billy, open to the article. But Dad's not drunk. Drunks roll off cliffs. It's a dangerous road. He has to drive slowly. He's driving slowly the way a drunk would drive slowly. How do I know if you're telling the truth? You told me Sister Lavinia was found in the basement of St. Hilda's with a bottle of old Granddad. Then you told me you made it up. I just had to calm you down. You were very upset. It wasn't true. How do you know? Oh, Jesus, said Lynn. The Volvo turned sharply into a driveway. Hunter followed. This driveway's worse than the road, said Lynn. They went down a precipitous pebble drive toward a building on a beach. The view was idyllic. Getting out of the cars, everybody stared. Fred ran up to his father, just as he had when the cars parked at Mesa Verde. What's the matter, Fred? Said Courtney, tousling his hair. Well, Lynn said, after we freshen up, maybe we should go back to town for drinks. No fucking way, shouted Joy. Okay, I'll read the conclusion in the next video.